In this video, I'm going to show you how you can create and set up a new user account in USA Live. We will also touch on the options you have for providing access to specific screens in the application, depending on the responsibilities you want to grant to your new user. In order to perform this task, you need to be an authorized signer and have administrator privileges in USA Live. So the first step to creating a new user is to click Users in the General tab menu. On the user screen, click the Add User button here. Notice the user detail fields are now lit for you to enter the information. To begin, you will need to enter a username in the first field. A username can be pretty much anything you like. However, it is best practice to set a standard for your usernames that is consistent throughout your account. For example, a common format is to use the first initial and last name of the person whose account you're adding. Also, it's best to use all lowercase letters. Another common practice is to use the email address the person will use in the account. Either approach will work, or you can come up with your own standard for usernames. We will use the email address for our example. Now enter the first and last name for the user. The password must meet minimum requirements, which are provided for you here. Enter the email address for the new user in this field. The telephone and fax numbers are optional. Notice now that you have a number of options available to you for granting permissions to your new user. The options you select will, of course, depend on the responsibilities the person has in your business and what screens you want to allow them to access. So, to help you understand which options to select, I'm going to describe the roles needed in a typical business and list the permissions you should select for each one. As we go down the list of permissions, I will elaborate on those which need a little explanation to understand how they're used. Admin Refund. If your new user will be allowed to issue credit card refunds, select this option and this one, Issue Refund. It is best to have both of those permissions for that responsibility. This will allow refunds to be created, then approved or canceled within the 24-hour review time if necessary. If the new user will be creating new users at some point, select this option, Administer All Customer Users. For access to the device configuration page, which will give the user visibility to the details of individual devices, including the location, the bank account to which the devices are sending funds, etc., select Configure Devices. If you intend for the user to be able to edit locations and other configuration details, also select Edit All Devices. View All Devices. This permission allows the user to see all activated devices in your business on the Devices page. If, however, you want to limit a user's visibility to only certain devices for whatever reason, click the Devices button here. You can see there are columns for both View and Edit. If you want your user to only be able to view devices, click the View checkbox for each device you want them to see. If they will be editing device configurations, click the Edit box. You can also save time by clicking either View All or Edit All. If any of the boxes are unchecked, the Edit button will select all the devices in the list at once. Likewise, if all are checked, clicking the button will uncheck all of them. You can add as many devices as you want with this tool. When you're satisfied with the permissions you have added or removed, click the Update button here to implement the changes. Now, if you're going to give the responsibility of creating Return Merchandise Authorizations, or RMAs, to your new user, click both the Manage Return RMA permission here, as well as this option, RMA Rental for Credit. Keep in mind that with these permissions, the user will need access to the device being returned by way of the Edit Devices permission we described a moment ago. The permission that allows users to view the bank accounts linked to your machines in USA Live is this one, View All Bank Accounts. If you have multiple accounts in USA Live, you can restrict permissions to view only the bank accounts you want your users to see. In that case, click the Bank Accounts button here, click the box next to the appropriate account, and click Update to save the change. Finally, be sure to select User Administration, which will allow the person to change their own password in USA Live if that becomes necessary. When all the appropriate permissions have been added to the account, click the Save Changes button here. Now, if you need to limit the permissions you want to provide to your new user, based on their responsibilities in the business, simply exclude the appropriate permissions we've discussed in this video. You may want to watch the video again to help you determine which permissions would best fit the role of your new user. And that concludes this video.